Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Subscribing to My Podcast. Because I have a new guest featured every week, it makes it very difficult to maintain consistent viewership. So if there's one thing that you can do to support me or the guest featured on the show, it's by interacting with my channel in every way that you can. You can always decide to unsubscribe later if you decide that you hate me or my show. With that plugging aside, enjoy my discussion with Josie Pursley and Erik Rolwes are both running for the Iowa State Student Government President and Vice President position. They've been campaigning for about a week now, and they are both currently part of student government and are looking to take it up a notch and run for that presidency and vice presidency. But it's super exciting having you guys on. Josie, why don't you go ahead and just introduce yourself and tell some of the viewers some important things that they should know about you.
Yeah, so my name is Josie Pursley. I'm a junior at Iowa State, and I'm studying political science and environmental studies. I also have a minor in general business. And I have been in student government for 2 years now. I am currently the Vice Speaker of the Senate, and I'm also in a sorority, Gamma Phi Beta. Shout out Gamma Phi Beta.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And then, Erik, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself as well, and then continue to tell some of the viewers some important things they should know about you.
Sure. My name is Erik Rolwes. I'm also a junior at Iowa State. I am studying industrial design with a minor in political science. I decided to add that recently. It's been pretty fun so far. I've been in student government for 2 years as well. Josie and I joined on the same day, so that's a little fun fact. And then I'm currently our College of Design Center. I think one other fun fact is just... Sorry, I'm blanking on...
No, you're fine. You're fine. And, I think introductions that require a fun fact is probably one of the most stress-inducing. Yeah. Like, when you go to a class and you have to say, like, something interesting about you, and you're afraid that someone's in there who has already heard one of your fun facts, and then you become the connected toes guy.
Yeah. And trying to decide what fun fact you're going to choose.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was, in middle school, it's like, my fun fact is that I am tall.
Yeah, yeah. And now it's like in college, it's hard to come up with.
I don't have any more substance.
Yeah, yeah. Other than that, it's hard to come up with fun facts. Or if somebody says a fact that's much more fun than yours, and then you have to sit there and be like, "Oh, I went to Colorado this week. This sucks."
I have a good fun fact. I work in NREM. I work in Science Hall 2, and in my office we have an office tarantula.
Ooh, ew.
Yeah, so I get to hold the office tarantula, and I feed the office tarantula. So that's a good fun fact.
That's a scary fact. You're, cool holding them?
Yeah, well, we were good friends my sophomore year, and she let me hold her all the time, and then we kind of had some beef, so...
You and the tarantula?
Yeah.
What? Did you not feed it enough, rats?
Well, I had to clean her cage, and she got really mad when I moved her. And so now every time when I try to pet the tarantula, she goes,
"Ooh." Yeah, I would burn the whole building down if the tarantula did that to me. Yeah, so what's really exciting about your guys' campaign is that you guys are both currently involved in student government. And I just kind of want to hear about how does this experience and expertise, how does this influence your guys' campaign? How does this, set you above the rest? Or how are you guys going to use your experiences in student government in your campaign? And then we'll start from there, and then we'll go to some of your points.
Yeah, well, first of all, there's just so much that student government comprises, and I think a lot of students don't realize how much student government does. We fund so much, and I think it's $2.6 million around there that student government gets every year and allocates to student clubs, to ASSET, which is funding nonprofits in the community, and as well student engagement. So After Dark, things like that are all funded by student government. I think the experience part is really important because there is so much going on. I mean, I was a senator last year, and there was so much that I didn't know was happening behind the scenes before this year, where I'm the Vice Speaker of the Senate. So now I'm a chief officer, and I have to go to the chief officers' meetings every week. I actually have to go to so many meetings every week, about a meeting a day. And there's just so much that goes on behind the scenes that you don't realize, even as a senator. But as I've climbed through that ladder of experience, I've been able to gain so much more knowledge on how to run the student government efficiently and making sure that we are keeping students' needs a priority.
Yeah, and then Erik, what have some of your experience has been with student government, and then how is that kind of influencing your candidacy?
Sure. When I was first elected in August of 2023, that feels like a long time ago. My first kind of goal was to reestablish the College of Design's student-led council. It's every college has their council. There's like the Engineering Student Council, the LAS Student Council, pretty much just representing students to like faculty committees and to the broader university. The College of Design didn't have one since 2016 when they just didn't have any more leadership to take it up. So it's been defunct since. Hey. And so that was kind of my first goal, was to get that restarted. I think we started in September, got it finished in December. That's when it was officially recognized, and it's been going pretty well ever since. We've had great leadership. I'm proud of everyone that I've worked with. They're holding a makers market right now. Well, they're holding applications for it. It's going to take place in March, but they got some pretty high expectations, and I think it'll go pretty well. Makers markets, tend to gather a pretty good crowd. So
yeah. Well, and it's cool because design isn't a particularly big, it's one of the smaller colleges, but it still needs that representation, and so building that from theoretically nothing is a pretty cool undertaking. I want to hear about your guys' platform points and then some of these goals that you guys are looking at, because one of the interesting things is when you come from student government, you have kind of intimate knowledge on the things that are possible and then the things that you guys can do and also the things that are necessary. So walk me through, each of your platform points would be preferable, but we can maybe take them one at a time. So I'm interested, what platform points are you guys running on and what are some of these things that you guys are looking to do?
Yeah, so we kind of came up with an acronym so that we can encompass those platform points. It's STEMS, so change stems from us. So it's sustainability, it's transportation and downtown engagement, it's student engagement on campus, mental health and inclusivity, and then we have student wellness.
Oh, okay. It's very nice that we're like a STEM primarily college, and then STEM is like a term that we use often, and then you guys are acronyming it to be part of this. So let's start with sustainability for the beginning. What are some of these things that you guys are looking to do for sustainability?
Yeah, so sustainability is one of my biggest passions. I know I said earlier, environmental studies is one of my majors. I was actually, my sophomore year, the vice chair of the sustainability committee. So I got to spend a year working on the sustainability committee and seeing what could be changed on campus in terms of sustainability. I've gotten really close with our director of sustainability, Mary Rankin. She's a really cool person and does so much for sustainability on this campus. We actually had the opportunity to meet with her this week and talk more about what we can do to change sustainability on campus. But I think one of our main priorities is focusing on making sure students know how to recycle properly. That's always a hurdle that we have to get over, and then also introducing more composting initiatives. I don't know how many people know, but our dining halls actually do composting. They do composting before the food is made, so like within prep, and then after students are done eating, they do composting. So yeah, working on composting. Also, Freddie Court has a pilot program right now. They have compost bins, but they haven't been used properly,
right? Which
has been interesting. So, like, figuring out ways to get that pilot program. We're using the pilot program to teach students how to do it properly. And we're working with the director of recycling, Steve Coates, to bring that project to life and see how we could work further on composting and researching how students can learn more about how to compost correctly on campus.
Yeah, and that sounds pretty engaging. I know that one of the things that particularly frustrates me, but I know some other people too, is that the trash cans on campus that have you have to like push them up and then it'll compact it in the bottom, that those get kind of stuck, or like if people kind of stuff it wrong. So it definitely would be nice to have like other alternatives for specific kinds of foods so that happens less, so I can actually like use the trash cans on campus and stuff like that.
For those trash cans, you have to scan the QR code if they're full to get the trash picked up from the trash cans. And I don't know how many students know about that. But
I had no clue.
yeah. So there's a QR code if the trash can is full that you scan and say, this trash is full.
Wow, this needs to be. You guys need to, unrelated to the campaign. You guys need to market this just so that we can tell people about this, because that is forbidden knowledge. Apparently, that is crazy. I will be going around. It'll be my duty to scan every single trash can that I see now. That's pretty interesting. Erik, did you want to touch up on anything in regards to sustainability or?
Sure, and it's like, I think a big thing with kind of like getting people to recycle or compost is kind of the marketing behind it. Like, I know when you live in the dorms, you have like your 2 trash cans outside your dorm. You got your like the basic brown one, and then you have like, it might be brown with a yellow lid or something, but like when you're a student that doesn't really care and you just want to throw your trash away, you just pick a bin, whatever's closest.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think kind of like maybe doing some more like marketing or PR material just to kind of show like which bin is what goes in this, what goes in that. I think that would kind of help with sorting out some of the improper use. And it's because like marketing and PR is kind of a big thing with student government, just trying to get people to do things more of the correct way. It's not like they mean to do it the wrong way. It's just sometimes they just don't know. And you can't really blame them for that.
Yeah, and I'm on the same boat. I definitely see those recycling bins getting full, and I'm like, there's no way that this is all full of like just recycling material. Now, I know that, sustainability and environment like has its scope, but is there something that you guys can say maybe to Iowa State's influence on, sustainability or the environment, or kind of the importance of this as like an individual person? This is a campaign point, is a very global effort, and it might be hard to rope in some of those Iowa State students to see this as something worth, putting time and energy for. So is there anything that you guys can say about, sustainability, so that the students who are maybe skeptical of this's impact or this importance to kind of get them on board with this?
Yeah, I think that the more people that continue to put their efforts into sustainability and recycling and learning about what it looks like to be sustainable, we can come together as a campus, as a sustainable campus. And I think that is a really big influence. Other campuses look to us, other student governments look to us to see what we're doing and get ideas from that. I know I look to other student governments to see what they're doing. And I think that the impact can be great when small numbers come together to make big changes.
Yeah. If there's anything else you guys want to say about sustainability before we transition to T, which is transportation and then downtown, what does that look like? What are some of these initiatives that you guys are doing for transportation?
Well, there is one more thing I'd like to say about sustainability
please.
That I didn't get the chance to talk about. This is kind of Erik's baby, this project, but I don't know how many listeners have heard about bird dots.
Bird dots.
Erik can talk a little bit more about that, but I've recently had the chance to talk with a couple of grad students in natural resource ecology and management, and this project is super big to them. They care about it a lot. And seeing how much work and research they put into this project, it's amazing. They really care about it. And Erik can talk a little bit more about what bird dots are.
Yeah. So, like, bird dots may sound a little strange, but pretty much just what they are is, like, stickers that go on a window. Because, like, it's pretty much just kind of let the birds know that this is a window and not something you should fly into.
Yeah.
Because when, like, you have a large reflective surface like a window, to birds, it reflects the sky behind it, so they think it's just sky. and that leads to them going.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's very common here in the SIC to just have, you hear a thump and then there's a bird on the ground.
Yeah, yeah.
And obviously it's not good for the ecosystem to lose birds. So it's pretty much just kind of like a vinyl roll sometimes. If you're if you're applying it after like a window goes up, there's actually pre-made windows with bird dots on them. They can just kind of come in like any color, size, shape. You can make like actual like signs out of them. You can make decals. It's really kind of interesting, like the creativity aspect you can put into it while still being effective. And I feel like not a ton of people know that, because like when you look up bird dots, it's just kind of like white dots on a window. Mm-hmm. And it's like there's so much more creative things you can put into it that I think would be a lot more attractive.
Yeah, well, and that's interesting too. This wouldn't be super obtrusive to like seeing out the window or anything like that, right? I'm assuming it would be kind of casual,
Yeah, and it's like if you like when a store, when they kind of have like a screen on the window, it's perforated. So like on the outside it looks like your actual decal, but on the inside it's pretty much black and just a bunch of dots, so you can actually see through it pretty easily.
Okay. I see what you're talking about.
Yeah. And if you wanted to see an example, I know one of the new vet med buildings actually has these, and that's really cool. So that's been a good example of what these could look like if they were implemented across campus.
Yeah, well, and that's pretty interesting too. Kind of like you said, it's not something that you think about very often unless you've experienced like literally a bird hitting, a window or something like that. It's not something that I guess you'd think about. So that's always why I love hearing about campaign points, because you guys always find things to bring up that I've never thought about or experiences that I've never lived through. So that's why it's always interesting to me to see like what you guys are talking about. Let's move on to transportation. What are some of these things that you guys are looking to do for downtown and then this transportation point?
Yeah, so we've actually had a senator that has been working really hard on the Safe Ride program and bringing it off campus as well. His name is Hamath Pedasani. Shout out to him.
We love Hamath.
He has been working extensively on this project, talking to as many people as he possibly can. And kind of what we ran into is that there is a state law against Safe Ride going off campus. And so kind of getting around that hurdle and potentially finding different routes to be able to do that. So Safe Ride has been something that's been on student government's mind for a while now. I think Erik can talk a little bit more about SciRide because he actually is our student representative on the SciRide board. Mm-hmm. So he has a lot of knowledge about SciRide.
Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of to expand on that Iowa law part, I actually don't know the code. I know Hamath has it memorized off the top of his head, but it's pretty much just kind of like a non-competition thing. It pretty much states that public universities aren't allowed to compete with external bodies, so like businesses. And, we've kind of talked about that because it's like, Uber and Lyft aren't like terribly popular here, and there's not like any other public transportations besides SciRide, mm-hmm. which is already kind of a government body. It's like SciRide is kind of it's its own external entity, but it is kind of like a branch of the city, but it's not.
Well, a lot of city people use it who are completely unrelated to the student body, and it goes around the whole town too. So it is interesting.
Yeah, so like we're really interested in Safe Ride because I was with a meeting with Hamath when we met with ISUP with Chief Newton. They have a big issue of people misusing Safe Ride to just kind of use it to get to the bars, mm-hmm. and they don't want to kind of promote that. So, and if you do that, like if you're misusing it to like get a ride to somewhere, it kind of increases the wait time for someone that might need to actually use it for actual safety concern. And we kind of wanted to address the fact that students might actually just need direct transportation. I know one example was like some graduate students that live up an SUV. They need to get to work down in the research park. So they use Safe Ride to get from SUV all the way down to Research Park, because Side doesn't really have a direct route or just like brown route that goes up and down. It's not as like it has a longer wait time between buses just because it's such a longer route, and they might need to go now.
Mm-hmm.
And so they kind of use it, but that's a really long drive, so it kind of increases your wait time for someone that actually might need it.
Right.
So we just kind of wanted to make sure students have an actual system they can use to get directly from where they might need to be to where they might need to go.
Yeah, and I know something that University of Iowa actually does. I'm from Iowa City, so I like to see what the University of Iowa is doing.
Our competitors.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes they have good ideas. I'm like, we got to hop on this.
Right.
They actually do discount codes for Uber for the students, and I think that would definitely be something we could look into. I know they reached out to Chief Newton about that, and that project just didn't seem to gain much interest in past years, but maybe bringing in something like that for students who want to get to the bars, maybe using like a discount-coded Uber so that students who need to use Safe Ride can use that for safety concerns.
Yeah, and I guess right now, I'm not super familiar with how Safe Ride works or like how these things, but some of these might just be maybe like rule implementations or like changing the way that we do Safe Ride. Like, is there a way that we can screen against people who are using this in a way that we, don't really want to support? Like, we can see the location that they're going to and we know it's on Welch, so we just don't, you know what I mean? Are there things we can do like that? Or that might be a little bit too complicated? Or are these solutions that you guys are also looking into? Like, is this still kind of an open, we just need to figure out how to make Safe Ride a little bit more accessible? Or are there other ways that, we're looking into?
Yeah, I know. When we kind of had a meeting with Chief Newton, I don't think the police department is I don't think they want to kind of exclude certain locations, because obviously they don't know for sure that people are going somewhere for a specific purpose. It's like they don't know if someone is going to the bars.
Yeah.
Well, it's like they can't necessarily go on Welch at all. They can't. So they're restricted to on campus or Greek Life parking lots, ISU apartments north of campus, and then the basketball practice facility around Mortensen and South Dakota Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the only locations you can go that Safe Ride will pick you up. And it's so when people go to bars, they get dropped off at the Friley docks.
Yeah.
And they've kind of mentioned, I think someone brought it up at our meeting. It's why don't we just not let people go there? But it's they don't necessarily want to do that because someone actually might need to just get to Friley and might need that spot, or you don't necessarily know why they're going there.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of aren't, I don't know if they're not allowed to ask or whatnot, but they just kind of don't want to exclude that.
Yeah, and that makes sense too. What are some of these things that we're looking for the downtown area? I was pretty interested in this and what that meant.
Yeah, so we're really excited about these ideas. These are some of my favorite ideas. We have our joint city council meeting every semester with the city council and student government, and we're able to facilitate a lot of communication through those. And downtown and the city council has expressed that they want to get more students downtown. They want to get people off campus and in Ames engaging with their businesses and with the downtown area. We're like, how can we do that? And we talked a lot about events that students would be interested in going to. I know I love going to the farmers market. And so getting students to and from the farmers market, it's difficult. Transportation is hard. There's not a lot of parking for the farmers market. And so working with SciRide or some sort of service where we are able to get students downtown for the farmers market on Saturdays, I think would be really awesome. We'll obviously have to look into the logistics of how to get transportation on Saturdays for the farmers market, but I think that would be so cool. Another idea we had was Ames hosts Pride Fest in September so that students can go. And I don't know how many students know that that it is not in June, so that they specifically can go. And so student government or Iowa State working with Ames so that more students know that Pride Fest is then and that they're able to go and find community in this area.
Yeah, and it's like we have such a unique working relationship with the city of Ames. It's from kind of what we might get into later. We had a Big 12 student government conference with all the schools in the Big 12, and it's like, from what we learned there, no other schools there really have quite a close relationship with their city that they live in, well, that their university's in. Like, we share a lot of resources with the city of Ames, and it's like we're pretty good partners, and it's like we want to support them as much as they support us, and just there's a lot of neat stuff downtown, just all across Ames, and we want students to actually get able to experience that.
Yeah, well, and that's, I always found that really fun, especially like Destination Iowa State. They added that new thing where, we'll bus down to the different areas in Ames, and that was a big success, especially for a lot of people who wanted to go and see that. So expanding that to like the farmers market or other things, I definitely see interest in that. And then obviously there's going to be some logistics that need to be determined about like SciRide bus patterns and amounts and stuff like that. But I'm very excited to see where that ends up going. Is there anything else in terms of transportation or downtown that any other points that you guys are excited about for that?
Yeah, I know a lot of students have concerns about parking on campus. And something that we've heard a lot lately about is when people have family come and they want to park. Visitor parking is something that's a big concern. I know I like to park at Freddie Court, and there is only 4 meter spots, and they last for 30 minutes. So I think that we need to look into transforming some of our parking spaces so that they're more available for visitors. I did go to the Know Your Leaders Town Hall series on Tuesday that student government is putting on, and it was really interesting. Transportation and the ISU PD came last Tuesday, and they were talking a lot about parking. And, some students had a question like, what can we do to make parking better? And our directors of parking were like, we have 10,000 spots for students and visitors to park on campus. And hearing that number, I didn't realize how much we do have. And they cross-referenced it to other campuses. They looked at University of Iowa's parking, and Iowa State actually has way cheaper parking for their students. So that's an ISU win.
Let's go. Let's go.
I think we have a lot more parking options for a lot cheaper. And doing the research into that and actually seeing how much we do have, I think, is important, because I think we do need to applaud Iowa State for how much they also do for us. I know there is a lot that we need to fix and there's a lot that we can change, but they do a lot for us, and I think that's important to note as well.
Yeah, I am the biggest Iowa State fan just in terms of the stuff that we do. I'm a very thankful person, and I say this on this show a lot too, but the amount of things that we have access, I couldn't possibly use all of the things that we have access to here, just like in my 4 years, which is actually the biggest problem, is that I just don't have the capacity to get involved in all the stuff that I want to or could get involved in.
I know a lot of the campaigns, and actually campaigns in the past, have talked about this. One of the problems that everyone sees is that we have so many resources and that students just don't know about even half of the resources that we have. And I think PR for those resources is something that everyone wants to work on.
Just so we can know, like, what even that number that you just said about the parking, I mean, and the I'm still on the trash can QR code thing. Like, that is definitely something that people need to know about. So yeah, that's really interesting. The next one was engagement, right? What are some of these points, and what are you guys excited about?
Yeah, so one thing that we're super excited about is the Ireland game next year at the beginning of the year, the Ireland football game. And Chief Mike Newton was talking about different plans and how The Ireland game is actually supposed to fall on 801 Day or Welcome Weekend, and talking about safety concerns for that day. And we came up with an idea that we think is so cool, but being able to have a watch party for the Ireland game as an event that students can go to and maybe take a break from other activities. Or just as a replacement because it's cool. And we're hoping to have it host it in a location that would be really exciting for students. We talked to an athletic director actually at the university about the potential of hosting it in Hilton, which would be really awesome. Obviously, we have to look at when the volleyball team is playing in Hilton and availability, but I think that would be a really cool location for it. And if we can get all of the students together watching that game, I think it would be a really good opportunity for students and the community to bond over something that's so important to us, like Cyclone football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think one thing we also kind of discussed in that meeting was it's the proximity to Destination Iowa State and how unique it would be to kind of have all the new students new to Iowa State come to this watch party for the football game with just a ton of other students. I feel like it would really kind of help integrate them into our community, kind of foster a nice community between them, and just kind of get the experience to Iowa State and just make it more fun for everybody.
Yeah, and now this is quite revealing. I am the most sports illiterate person you'll probably find. I don't even know what the Ireland game is. Is this normal, or like what is that in terms of?
It's actually, I think it's just next year. We're playing against Kansas State in Ireland.
Why?
It's kind of funny.
You mean the country, right?
Yes. The football team is going to Ireland to play a football game against Kansas State.
In Ireland?
Yeah.
Well, is there a reason for this, or are they just...
Well, I was reading the news on this, and apparently I think they do the Ireland game every year, but they choose different teams to go.
Oh, I see.
And I think they chose Iowa State because our fan base is huge, and we statistically really like to travel. Mm-hmm. And so... yeah, they wanted a team with fans that will travel to Ireland to actually go to the game, and I think that's so cool.
Okay, that clarifies a lot for me because when I read it as a platform point, I thought that this was going to be like a team in Ireland playing some sport, and I was like, I mean, I support Ireland, but like, why is this like a platform
No,
point?
the Cyclones will be in Ireland.
Okay, I'm very glad I asked that question because I would have been sitting here thinking about. I was like, are we playing an Ireland team? Why? I could not calculate that
Just
in my
Kansas
head.
State.
Right. Okay. Basically Irish, I guess. But okay, that makes a lot more sense, and that's really exciting too. I guess one of the immediate skepticisms maybe of that will be that like already it's kind of hard to separate the DIS crowd from the 801 crowd on that day. Like even then, there's just a lot of intermingling. There's a lot of like alcohol in places that maybe shouldn't be there on campus. So what can we do, I guess, with this event to make sure that, you know, a bunch of drunk people aren't coming and you know, ruining, I guess, whatever the event is supposed to be?
So student government for the past 2 years, I think, 1 or 2 years, has been giving out liquid IV on campus. Past 2 years, has been giving out liquid IV to students just so that they can stay safe on this day and make sure they're being responsible. But I think we can make it bigger. I do. I have big ambitions for this idea. We would definitely have to work with ISU PD on this. You know, they came to us asking for ideas of what we could do on this day, and we have this big idea in response to them, and I definitely think that we can work with them to make sure that the event is safe and held responsibly. Obviously, it is difficult on that day, but hopefully there wouldn't be any sort of issues that go along with that, as long as we were keeping it as safe and secure as, say, any Iowa State football game. I mean, you have people tailgating before every game, and the games still say relatively safe with the security that we have. So utilizing that, I think, will be important for an event like that.
Yeah, and it's like, I think it's important to mention, like, it's not just we're putting the Iowa game up in Hilton and just letting people file in.
Right.
We pretty much just want to have it like, this is like an actual event. Like, there's going to be security, and it's like, you shouldn't be allowed to bring anything in that you shouldn't have. And it's like, we're going to take this as seriously as possible to make this a fun experience for new students and existing students. And we just kind of want to make it a fun day for everybody.
And are you guys coordinating with like DIS or the Welcome Back people to see if this is? I'm hoping so, because this could be a really cool. Like opening freshman, like you mentioned, like having the
we still have some people that we need to talk to. We've talked to the AD so far, and we're working on a meeting with Chief Newton. I've also talked a lot with the ISU PD wellness people and student wellness, and so bringing everyone together to make sure that an event like this could happen, as well as working with the destination Iowa State people and getting it integrated as one of the events.
Yeah, that sounds super awesome. What other engagement stuff is happening in your guys' brains?
I'm thinking about what the other points are.
No, and that's totally, because
we have so many.
No, I get it. It cycles through your brain, and then somebody asks you like this huge list of things. And another thing too is that like putting on an event as big as this, I think, is like it's like a big undertaking. You know what I mean? And like this is kind of enough in terms of engagement, to like get everybody. Because even like 801 Day, Destination Iowa State, Welcome Back. This is like the biggest weekend in terms of events for things. So
And someone from another club actually came up to me at the end of our presentation this past week. They were like, "You have so many ideas. How do you plan on getting all of these done? Like, there is so much on your list." And I kind of brought it back to me and Erik have a lot of connections, and we have a lot of support in student government, and we have a lot of people that are able to work on different projects, and we're able to delegate it to people we know in student government and that we know are going to get the work done. And a lot of people have expressed interest in the ideas we have, and I think that we'll be able to delegate a lot of the work and get a lot of help from others to make sure that all the big things that we have are able to get done.
Yeah, and it's not like we're just kind of creating these ideas on top of our head. It's all stuff that we've heard previously, and stuff that like we've heard people really want to see happen or just kind of expand upon. And we just kind of want to work with everybody we can just to kind of make Iowa State a better place and have more fun events, just to have more fun. And we just want to make everybody feel safe and included, and just kind of make Iowa State generally better and have better experience.
Yeah, and something I would like to mention is that our platform points aren't set in stone. Like, this is not something that me and Erik sat down and just wrote things that we thought would be cool. We've changed our platform points since talking to clubs even this week, and like tweak them to be based more on what is interesting to the students, because that is most important to us. Seeing what the students have to say, listening to their voices, and making sure that is seen throughout our platform. So our platform points are always changing and growing based on what's interesting to the students and what is meaningful to them. And I think that's a really cool part of our campaign, that we're able to do that, and we're able to take feedback and change based on what's important to ISU students.
Right, and I don't even know if having a bunch of ideas is like the most important factor for like a candidacy. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of your guys' roles are going to be being adaptable, listening to students, inspiring and motivating people, and then learning how to like coordinate a team to get things done or to inspire ideas out of them.
It would be interesting to see if someone ran for president and vice president, no platform points. They're just like, no, actually, I just think I'm a good leader.
Yeah,
and
I think I could do it.
I think I could do it well. And I honestly think, I mean, you could do that.
Right.
I don't think that the platform points are the end-all be-all. I think that they can continue to change and even come up with ideas next year for what students want to see done, but also just having a good leader that's adaptable and able to get people's ideas in place is really important. And on that, I remembered another one of our engagement ideas.
Oh, exciting. Okay.
Okay. I know I've said this a lot, but I got this idea from University of Iowa student government.
Let's go. You're like a spy.
Yeah, I am like a spy. They have this platform that's like Yik Yak, but for student ideas for on-campus stuff. And it's on their website. It's really cool. So you click on it, and any student can talk about, or they can write about an idea they have for campus that they want student government to get done, or ideas for improvement on campus. And then other students can go on and upvote them. And they can upvote what they think is like a good idea for campus improvement. And it's like if you get 15, 20 upvotes or something like that, student government will look into it and see what they can do.
Yeah.
I think something like that is so cool, and I think that Iowa State needs it.
I think that's a really cool idea, too. Obviously, it would need to have a little bit of moderation.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, as you might have seen with Yik Yak, you can't really just let people, exist out there. But that is a really cool idea to get people involved, because I know that a lot of the actually, we'll talk about that later. I have other questions in regards to the future, too, that I want to get to. But are there other engagement points before we move on to mental health and inclusivity?
I think the only one that I don't think you've mentioned yet is working to kind of create a new platform for students to buy and sell tickets.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and this is very interesting to me, too. So what would that look like? How are you guys thinking about doing this?
Okay, so I'm thinking that it would have to be something on our website, some sort of program where students are able to go in and buy and sell tickets. I came up with this idea because I see so many students buying and selling tickets on like the Snapchat stories, and it just takes over the Snapchat stories, as well as Facebook. I don't know if a lot of students use our Facebook group besides buying and selling tickets. And I think that we need some sort of concise way to do this and advertise that I'm selling a ticket besides the Snapchat story or Facebook. I don't necessarily know what that would look like, and I think that's okay. Like, I think it's okay to have ideas and not entirely have them complete
totally
and know
know
what they are going to look like. I think it's just cool to have an idea as well. And I also know that this is sometimes a problem with campaigns, is overpromising. Someone be like, oh, you came up with this idea and you advertised it in your campaign. Are you actually going to do it? And me and Eric talked about this this past week at a event that we were doing, is sometimes it's not necessarily about getting a project completely finished. It's about building the steps to get there. And I think good ideas is a great first step, and gathering ideas is a great first step. So I don't necessarily know what this would look like. I think we would have to have a really good IT director. If Eric wants to say anything else on what he thinks it would look like.
Sure. It's like there's kind of a lot of things that can kind of go into the website, but like it's, I think, kind of going into like a security aspect. It's like if you just contact somebody you don't know, it's like, oh, you want to sell me this ticket? And it's like, okay, $50 Venmo me.
Yeah.
So you Venmo them $50, and you don't know for sure if you're going to get a ticket back. So like that's kind of what we wanted to reassure is like that's like this is a safe system for actually sending your money and getting a ticket back. And we heard, I think it was an advisor in one of the halls, and it's like, there's been a lot of scams going around about like people trying to buy tickets and not getting a ticket back, or just like trying to buy a parking pass for cheap, and just like
People that aren't even students are trying to
Yeah.
scam students into buying fake
Like
tickets.
their tickets?
Yeah. So some sort of way to verify that people are actually students selling the tickets too, I think, is very important.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. I know what you're talking about with like the Snapchat stories. Like, there's got to be a better way, and I'm surprised we haven't figured it out yet. So this is a very exciting point. I want to move on to mental health and inclusivity and what that looks like for you guys and what some of the plans are for that.
Yeah, so this is something that has been incredibly important to me throughout my time at Iowa State. I was diagnosed with a disability right before going into college, and that was like a really difficult transition for me. I had to figure out what my resources were, how I could make it work on campus, and so working with the accessibility services on campus has been so big for me, and advertising how we can get those out to other students and make sure that they have the resources available to them. So I can really speak to the accessibility side of things. But as well, mental health, I think, is so important and something that we really need to focus on at every university, and making sure that students have the resources they need to succeed. And, well, we're here for school, and so being able to have the resources they need to do well in school and be well. Mm-hmm. And we have so many resources already at Iowa State, and I think going back to that point of, like, PR and making sure students realize how many resources that they really have. Erik can talk about some of the resources that we have for mental health and what he thinks.
Yeah, and I kind of have to second. I was in a very kind of similar situation to Josie before I went to Iowa State. Throughout the past 4 years of my life, I've had a lot of issues with mental health, and there's just been a ton of issues in like research that's gone kind of into it, and just kind of focusing on yourself and what you can do mentally. And I think a big part of it is kind of realizing like your resources and when you should ask for help. Like we mentioned, Iowa State has a ton of resources for mental health. You can have 6 free in-person therapy sessions. I can never say it right. Mm-hmm. I've tried to say like 4 or 5 times. I've always said it wrong. It's a tongue twister.
6 in-person. Yeah, it's kind of a lot of those in there.
But like, yeah, it's a really interesting way to kind of get kind of introduced to therapy and kind of realize like what you might need, or kind of your resources that you might need. There's also an online therapy Therapy Assistance Online, TAO.
Yeah.
It's a program on your phone that you can have just to kind of get like small little sessions just to kind of focus on like mental health, public speaking, self-help.
Well-being in general.
Well-being. It's just like, it's kind of a self-paced thing that you can do on your phone just to kind of improve your self-confidence and your well-being.
Yeah, and TAO is a free resource for all Iowa State students.
And when you're talking about the 6 free sessions, that's for all students, like,
yes,
no matter what like insurance plans you have or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's all free.
Wow.
I've had a couple people that have actually used all of them, and I mean, there's obviously been varying results, but like, I think it's just important to know that you have that resource available.
Yeah, and to try it out and see if it helps, see what fits, what works, what doesn't. So,
and it's like, we're obviously more than happy to work with student wellness just to kind of maybe further those resources if we need to, or just kind of expand upon them, make them better in any sort of way. Just
student wellness does so much for mental health on campus, and it is incredible how much they do. And we can talk about them in our last platform point too, but they actually just held the Green Flags Fair, which is about consent. And it was really awesome. I got to go, and they're doing a really good job with all the things that they have taken on for students.
Yeah, are there other things, other platform points or resources that you guys are looking to promote or talk about? Are there any, events or resources that you guys are looking to create or change or anything like that in this realm?
I think kind of one other thing is just kind of focusing on, we kind of wanted to work to promote Ames Pride Fest. We pretty much, due to some Iowa laws that passed during the summer, we kind of had regulations on DEI at the university. We kind of wanted to make sure that all students, regardless of how they identify, they can all kind of have a safe space where they can feel included and supported. And obviously, I think clubs can still have programs like that. The university may not be allowed to, but clubs can still hold events. So we just kind of want to promote that and let people know that's like...
And working with clubs to promote their events, student government is able to bring those clubs and create new clubs that are focused on diversity, equity, inclusion, so that students still have those spaces where they feel welcome and included. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah, and I was going to ask about this in the new laws. Are there things that you guys can do? Are there you guys aren't lawmakers, so I know that, but are there things you guys can do for the university to kind of help push this? I know you guys talked about like events, but do you guys have any goals in regards to maybe restoring some of this or like finding ways around this or anything like that? Like how are you guys going to be interacting with these new laws to maintain our DEI programs?
Yeah, I think it's important to note that the laws affect the university, but they don't affect student clubs. And so student clubs being able to take on, student organizations and clubs being able to take on some of the things that the university is not able to do anymore. I think there has been meetings lately about the lavender graduation, and a lot of people have been really nervous about whether well, let me just explain the lavender graduation first. It's a graduation ceremony for LGBTQ plus students. And it's been going on for 15 years, I think, and that was put on by the center. And so I think they're in meetings right now talking about being able to delegate that to clubs like the Pride Alliance and clubs that are focused on LGBTQ plus the community. And so student government being able to help out those clubs take on those new endeavors and take over for the university on things that the university is not legally able to do anymore. I think it's really important helping those clubs create community for all students.
Yeah, and it's like, in terms of the actual law, it's like we are just student government. We don't have a ton of sway in the Iowa government. It's kind of, we only have so much we can do about it. We can kind of, we could possibly put it in kind of a legislative point if we were kind of interested in that. But it's like, I think it's kind of important to note that it's like we don't have necessarily a ton of influence in that aspect.
Yeah, I think it is important to note that student government can only do so much. And we do have a lot of things that we can do on campus, but we are still a student organization. And there's only so much that we can get done and that we can do as students. But I think reaching for those high goals is still important, no matter what.
Yeah, and I have some kind of overarching questions just about like your guys' plans maybe. You guys have both been involved in student government, and I find it really interesting that student government is kind of a culmination of all of the ideas that passed governments have created and then you guys are maintaining. So we just had a government, or you guys will be transitioning from a government, and then maybe governments before. But what ideas from maybe this most recent government are you guys planning on continuing, working on, continuing to put resources in? I know a big thing that they talked about was the concert, and I know that you guys are in student government. You know how that's going, and you know where that is, and that's been kind of a longer process than maybe expected. Is this something that you guys are interested in starting up again next year, continuing on? Talk to me about how you guys are going to continue the legacy of past governments.
Well, one thing I definitely want to continue on is the parking ticket relief program. Oh, it's been amazing, and so many students have signed up for it and expressed how grateful they are for this program. And I also think it's a great program, too, because it gets students out engaging in the community and doing things to better our community together. We only put so much money into that program, and when the money runs out, we're going to have to renew it. So potentially with the next group of leadership renewing that program, I think it's such a cool idea, and I definitely want to continue that program. In regards to the concert, it's such an awesome idea, and I know they're going to get it done despite how long it's taken. There's so much that goes into it. It does require a lot of resources and a lot of time and planning. So I think maybe having something like that as in every 2 years or every 5 years versus every single year. Student government actually runs out of deficit. And so we take from our reserves every year because we give out more money than we take in every year, and being fiscally responsible and making sure that we don't use up all our reserves in like the next 5 to 10 years. And so I think the concert is a great idea, and I'm so excited for it. But maybe having it not as something that would be every year so that we can be fiscally responsible, but maybe something that we do maybe every 5 years or every 2 to 3 years.
And I think kind of another kind of point on that is just trying to see like how it goes the first time. Like if it's like a huge hit the first year, like we could definitely look into possibly continuing it more frequently. But like if it's like kind of mediocre, it's like maybe it's not like the best. It might still be on our radar, but like just kind of looking for aspects to improve or something. But I think it's definitely something to look into, just kind of see how it goes the first time.
And then as well, sorry.
No, go
cut
ahead.
You off.
Yeah.
Our the Board of Regents event that we had in the fall was super successful. The Board of Regents was super excited about it. They loved the event, and so continuing that event, I think, is really awesome.
Yeah, and I think in regards, I think the concert thing is really interesting because it was such a big platform point and conversation last year, and it kind of revealed the possibilities that this money could be allocated for. So forgive me if I ask a little bit more questions about the concert, but let's say the concert for some reason doesn't happen this semester, but we're really close. Would that be something that you guys would continue to push for? Would you guys revive it and make it happen next year? Would you guys take on the responsibility? Or let's say it happens and it's this huge event and it's like everyone's like chanting, we need the concert again next year. Then would it be something that you guys would be interested in doing again next year?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to speak for Martin and Quinn, but I do know that this concert is going to happen this year. It is going to happen. They are adamant about it, and I think you'll be seeing a bill in the next couple of weeks going up in Senate about funding the concert. So that's really exciting. I don't know if I was allowed to say that. But if it somehow didn't happen, yes, we would love to take on that project. I definitely think if it gets raving reviews and students love it, it is something that we should look into working on again.
Yeah. Well, and I guess the last overarching question that I had is just about student government efficiency and what you guys are looking to do with that. Now, there are so many moving parts and so many people working for the same goal. And there's a lot of rules, restrictions, and processes that you have to use and overcome to get things to happen. And sometimes that can come off as student government working rather slowly. I wonder if you guys, with your experiences in student government, what are we looking to do to make sure that all of these events happen? Do you guys have any restructuring or any student government specific restrictions, rules, or changes that you guys want to make sure that these things happen at an efficient pace? Or are you guys looking to change student government in any way at all?
This is a hard question. Thank you for that. Okay, that came off as sarcastic, but it wasn't.
I totally get it.
No, I think that the way we are structured is actually relatively efficient. And I think it's something that I'm a political science student, something that we learn about all the time is that having steps and procedures to make sure that we don't do anything rash and quickly can be a positive. It can be a good thing because you don't want to just go out there and spend all our money and then go, oh, student government has no more money. Sorry, guys.
Like,
we
right.
can't fund
we
your
can't
club.
fund your club now.
Or you did an event that wasn't actually that popular, you know, and something like that too.
And so, yes, I do know that things sometimes move slowly. And I think sometimes that can also come down to human error. And I think making sure that we have really strong leadership and a really strong cabinet, because there is so much cabinet does that I think students don't realize, because president and vice president have to delegate to their cabinet ultimately, and they have to have very strong cabinet members to be able to get things done. And so making sure that we have experienced, strong cabinet members that are able to move processes through quickly is going to be really important. I don't know how well known this is, but student government is actually going to be putting on the Big 12 on the Hill conference next year. So we will be coordinating the convergence of all the Big 12 student governments in Washington, D.C. next year. And that's going to be a really long process, and I'm excited for that. I think it'll be really interesting to see how planning an event that big in Washington, D.C., what it will look like. I have no doubt that we can do it because we just put on the Big 12 conference here in Ames this year, and it went very well. It was awesome. I actually got to meet with so many people from the legislative branch and hear about how they run their governments. And that also brings me to something else. I really think looking to other student governments is important for making sure that our student government is running smoothly because there's always more to learn. There's always room to improve. And if there's something that another student government is doing really well, I think borrowing those ideas and integrating what they've been doing well is really important because we can always make ourselves better.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing that I know Martin and Quinn did, I almost said Martin and Hirsch. They did the co-directors with our sustainability and our events committee. I know, well, we know both those people that are on those committees.
Nope. Committees.
My brain. I know for them it's been really helpful just to have two people leading that committee, and so I think we kind of wanted to continue that as well. And we might even possibly continue that and kind of expand it upon other committees if it's necessary. And I think it's just trying to get all the work done in the committees as possible. The events committee was pretty much the main people that were kind of implementing and researching our Big 12 Student Government Conference, and I feel like the amount of work that they put into that event is kind of what partially led to its success. And I know having two people leading that committee really helped with that. So I feel like if we just have more people dedicated to certain committees, we can have really fun events and really big events.
Yeah, and I think your guys' involvement in student government should be really cool to see how that plays into your guys' transition into this leadership position, which should be really awesome. Those are, I think we got through a lot of the points.
I think we missed our last campaign point.
Oh, yes, please.
I misspoke earlier. The S is stands for, I know Eric gave me a look when I misspoke, sexual violence prevention. And so we had an idea. We wanted to create a sexual violence prevention task force. And I think what that would look like is looking into research that's been done on what actually works, so that we're putting our money into things that actually work for sexual violence prevention versus throwing our money at the problem and seeing if maybe it works. And I know Student Wellness has done so much extensive research on this, and I think working with Student Wellness on this would be extremely important. I know it's an issue that affects our campus so much, and it affects campuses all across the United States. And so continuing to work on making our campus a safe place for students is incredibly important.
Yeah, and I've taken a lot of the training, Green Dot, and then I know Green Flags exists as well.
Yes, that's new.
But I haven't taken that one yet, so there might be some more pushing involved to make sure that information gets out as well.
Student Wellness they just rolled out Green Flags, which is a new program focused on consent and knowing what consent looks like. And I also, at the Know Your Leaders town hall, Student Wellness talked about how they're going to be working on a third green program that's going to be focused on helping your friends when they come to you, and being able to be a resource for your friends when they've experienced sexual violence in some sort.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, and that's definitely an area that you could always be putting more work and more effort to. I'm really excited to see how the research comes out, to see what you guys end up looking into that, to see like what is the most effective and what works in those contexts. It's very interesting to me. I'm excited to see what you guys end up doing. But those are, most of the questions that I had for you. What I like to do at the end of the episode is just give you guys an opportunity to kind of wrap us up. If there's any themes, if there's any advertising or plugging you want to do, or if there's any reiterations on points that you've made, this is really your guys' opportunity to close the episode out in whatever way you guys want. So I'll give both you guys an opportunity to just speak on some of the stuff that you'd like to speak about.
Eric, do you want to go first?
Sure. I think kind of the main 2 points, well, not really secondary, but the 2 points we kind of have with our platform is collaboration and communication. Those are the 2 big things we want to focus on. There's over 30,000 students here at Iowa State, and we all have our own history. We all bring our own unique stories and perspectives, and I feel like to kind of make the best campus we can, it's just kind of our mission just to have everybody's voices heard and just have their perspectives heard as well.
Yeah, I think it's really important to look to the students. We all come together to make up this campus, and as leaders of student government, it would be our job to represent each and every student and making sure that we're representing the students' best interests, and we can make sure that every student is heard. Yeah, I think that's really important. And I would also like to plug our slogan and say, together we can make this campus a great place for students and a safe place for students and a sustainable place for students. And I think you can tack on anything you want to the end of our slogan, but I think in the end, one of the most important things to us, the most important things to us is the students and Iowa State students. Student government and Iowa State have given so much to me, and I have found my community through student government, and I want to use my leadership skills to make student government a great organization that adheres to every student and helps them find their community. I think that's really important because everyone deserves to find a community. Yeah, and then I would also like to plug our Instagram. It's pursley.rolls.2025. Yeah, you can find out more information about us there. We'll be posting a lot, and also we'll be advertising some of our events to come on our Instagram.
Yeah, well, thank you guys so much for joining me and talking about your platform points. I wish you guys luck in the campaign with the next 3 exciting weeks. And then I'm really excited and looking forward to see how the results come in.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you.